Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Chrissy and today I'm going to be giving you a channel prediction reading for the 28th of February. Now, I'm just doing irregular updates because there's so much currently going on around the globe. Oh gosh, we've got floods here in Australia, there's the Russian-Ukraine, there's still the freedom fighting going on, and I just thought I'd just shut my eyes and we'll just get started and we'll see what messages come through. So stay watching and we'll see what messages come through for the global channeled reading of the 28th of February. I'm getting that this is really disturbing now. The things that have been implemented are on a very, very large scale. This is not some little thing that's going to be easy to combat moving forward. It feels like everything is on a very, very large scale. And it's called, they're saying to me that it's lying by omission. So if they just don't talk about it, they're not lying. So things will kind of just go away and disappear and vanish. And that's the image that they're kind of giving me. They've given me the image that they've like thrown the cloak of invisibility. If you think of Harry Potter and Harry's cloak of invisibility, I'm sure everybody knows about the cloak. If you just throw the cloak over everything, everything vanishes. And this is what's kind of happening. I think we can pretty much work that out with COVID and the pandemic. It's like it has suddenly vanished. And they're very good at bringing up the distractions. So we've got the climate change, we've got the Russia-Ukraine, Queensland, unfortunately here, has got flooding. I know that is happening because I've got family that lives there. So there are things that are also happening that are on a large scale. But it's a great way to hide some of these truths. Now, the cloak of invisibility, we have to remember, is a temporary thing. So when something is vanishing and gone out of your sight, whether it be in the media or wherever it is, you have to know that it's still underlying, that it's still there. It hasn't gone from our lives. It has just vanished temporarily until the cloak gets lifted back off and it reappears. So that's something that we have to be aware of too, that this is a temporary experience that we're having at the current moment around the globe, that things have kind of, like I said, it's like a little lull in the chaotic energy. It's like going over that roller coaster and you come to that little flat period where you can just regain your breath and get your tummy to settle a little bit. That's what we're going through at the moment. That's the current energy, is when things are vanished or hidden. They're just hidden from view. It doesn't mean that they're gone. And that's definitely what I'm getting around the pandemic and the viruses and the things that are still being implemented, like the mandates and this kind of stuff. That's still being hidden from us. And you've got to believe in greater things. Like, I'm getting that you have to believe in greater and larger things. So we can create larger than life things into our life. We don't have to be squashed, dictated to, told what to do. That's kind of what we went through at school. Like when you go through your school years, you don't have much of a voice, and it feels like a lot of us have gone back into that sort of childlike energy, and that's what's currently happening at the moment. People are trying to find their voice in what feels like a very childlike situation. When you're children, you often don't have voices against your teachers, your parents. You don't have any say pretty much in anything, and that's the energy that I'm getting. A lot of us feel like we've sort of been taken back into like grade 1, 2, and 3, and we're just like little kids that have no voice. And it's a horrible energy because people don't want to be treated that way. And that's why it's causing so much frustration around the globe, because people don't want to be in that state where there is no voice. They have no input into their lives, and that's how it feels. It feels like people have been taken back to those really early young years of school where they actually have no say. That's definitely the energy that I'm getting, and that's very hard to sort of voice your opinion. For example, if you're getting in trouble or you're wanting to tell the truth when you're a kid and no one's believing you, it's very hard to get that message through to any of the authority figures. And that's how a lot of people are feeling. They're feeling like they've been put into these childlike states again, and it's making people very uncomfortable and unnerved, because as adults we know that we have our own individual thoughts, emotions, values, but not being heard again, of course, and that's how a lot of people are feeling right around the globe. Now again, I get a lot of this target practice, so there's a lot of the target practice, pointing at the target and hitting that bullseye. These things are still being implemented right around the globe. Now, just because, like, for example, here in Australia, we had the easing of restrictions, it doesn't mean that things have gone away, because this is a planned agenda, and now they're setting up different stages of the plan. We've gone through the pandemic, and now we're into the next stage, which is the Great Reset, and it is the financial collapsing in order to rebuild that new financial and economic structure. So that's something that I'm definitely getting, is this economic structure is about to change. And we'll start getting the narrative on all that soon. That's about to happen. We're going to start seeing, oh, interest rates are going up. Here we go. Let's put more fear in people. Let's really scare people that if they lose their jobs, they're not going to be able to pay these high interest rates. And let's put people under really intense pressure. I feel like that's about to come, and people are going to really get their balloons burst now, because it is just teetering on the edge. But financial collapse is about to happen. I feel like England and the UK is really resolving a lot of its issues. Obviously, there's been a lot going on around the Boris Johnson and the lying, and I think everyone can sort of recognise that there's been a lot of lies told during the last couple of years, and it's not just in the UK, this is everywhere really, but the UK comes to mind because it's the hypocritical standards. Like, how did Boris have these parties and everything if there was a really dangerous and very serious virus? And this is what I'm saying about the questions. People are questioning a lot of things, and I think the UK is one country, and England, and they're starting to question a lot of things. They're starting to question why were these numbers so incorrect in the hospitals. And that's what I'm saying to you about, you know, the riddles. There's like all these question marks. They're showing me like the Riddler out of Batman, and he's got, I think it's the question marks on his suit. There is an endless number of question marks, and I think the Riddler has a green suit normally, and the green kind of represents to me is that real grimacing and that anger rising in people, because the green kind of means they're really not happy about it. So I'm definitely getting that question marks. And if you think of the Riddler in Batman, he has the suit with all the question marks on it, because it's like we're living in a giant riddle, and one thing keeps coming out and then another thing keeps coming out, and that doesn't make sense and this doesn't make sense. And that's what I'm definitely getting in the UK. There's a lot of questions being asked, and I always say that things are coming out, but people are starting to ask questions, whereas before they weren't asking questions. They were just doing as they're told and going along rah-rah to get their freedom, until they realised that they didn't really have their freedom, and it all got taken back away from them. So that's why there's all these questions being asked now, and we have to look at that as a good thing, because you want questions to be asked, because we want the truths to come out. So these questions have to be answered, and somehow people are kind of working out those equations in their own mind. It's about doing the maths on it. If you do the maths on the actual figures, compared to people that sort of died of the flu, the ratios aren't right, all this kind of stuff, the figures aren't adding up. It's like when you go to do your balance at the end of the tax year, and you do at tax time, and you go to do your big balance, and then there's like there's an imbalance, and you can't actually put those things into the tax department or whatever until you get your own books balanced. Well, this is what's happening. There's huge holes in this system, and God, that's definitely gone on here in Australia. They've spent millions and millions of dollars on these wellness camps that aren't going to probably recoup the money back, and that's quarantine centres for people who are unvaccinated, apparently, flying into the country. But they've told us that the ratios, if you work them out, would end up being 1 person to 3 people. But even in our aged care homes, it's like 1 person to probably 30 people or 20 people. Like the ratios, but they say we're looking after our elderly and trying to protect them. They're sort of, these are the things that I mean don't make any sense, and I'm sure obviously in the UK that's what's happening, but this is happening globally. People are asking a ton of questions. And that's why people are waking up, because they're starting to sense something isn't right. Now in Canada, I'm getting a lot about religion. So there's something at the base and the core of Canada, and it's kind of to do with religion, but it's more so to do with spirituality. Now they're showing me a great big bear. Now I'm guessing in Canada that you do have very, very big bears, but they are also not only powerful, but they're also a part of your sort of wildlife, like they're part of your heritage. They're important to you in Canada. Bears are a symbol of, well, they're actually a symbol of strength, a symbol of connectedness, and that's about the connection to the earth and the forests and wherever these bears might live. But I get that definitely the symbol of the bear. The bear to me represents power and sort of domination, but he's also a symbol. If you think of a bear, it's also something that we cuddle and that nurtures us. So that's definitely something I'm getting around Canada. There's a lot of this spiritual, people are delving into their spirituality in Canada, and I feel like at the moment there's a huge amount of sort of personal praying, and that's just, I mean, that's within. People in Canada have been quite frightened by the things that have gone on, and they are praying for that peace and calm to come over their country. They don't want the tyranny. They don't want the dystopia. They don't want to be controlled and dictated to. And I feel like a lot of people in Canada have gone back to that sort of real spiritual connection sort of to nature, and that's why they're showing me like the bear. The bear must be very significant to you guys over there, and obviously I'm getting that red maple leaf on your flag, which is, you know, autumn. You get the red maple leaves falling, and that's that symbol of nature and peace and tranquility, and I feel like that's what people in Canada are really focusing on at the moment. They're really focusing on that brighter future moving forward, and how they can go about making these changes. But I feel like people are really putting a lot of their energy onto that spiritual way of shifting things. That's something that I'm definitely getting in Canada. They're reaching now for the, excuse me, they're exhausted as well. Whenever I yawn, sorry. That's part of the energy I'm getting through, is that tiredness in Canada. They're just tired of fighting these sort of, it's like they keep hitting that brick wall, and that's why people are now sort of reaching up to spirit to try and bring them in to make some of these changes moving forward, because I think they feel like they're at that dead end now, and how do they make change? So a lot of people are looking at their spiritual connections to do that for them, and that's a great thing. That's a positive thing, because we all have guides and we all have spirit sort of fighting for us, so why not reach out and get that little bit of help from spirit? That's what they are there for, to guide us as well. So I get frustrations are huge right around the globe. People are very frustrated. I'm getting Denmark. Denmark is very, very frustrated. I'm feeling like Denmark has something around pollution at the moment. There's some issue going on there around pollution. And these are the things that I was kind of getting to when I was saying how they're going to try and implement other things to do with not just the economy. This is going to do with climate change. So when you look at pollution, they're going to start to implement mandates around these things as well. So this is what the whole purpose of mandates was so they can implement other areas. So if you've got this kind of car with this kind of emissions, you're going to have to not drive as many hours that week, or you're going to, like, this is what's coming. So we've got to kind of look at these things, and I'm definitely getting Denmark. There's something about Denmark to do with the cost of fuels rising, which is pretty much happening everywhere, but I'm definitely getting Denmark for something about fuel emissions and this sort of thing that's coming up. Denmark's exhausted. God, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just have to release that exhaustion that comes out when I'm doing a reading, because it sort of highlights to me the energy that's very current in that in the population. So Denmark, definitely something around the emissions. I get Switzerland, Sweden. They're changing a lot now. I feel like there's changes coming for you guys. I feel like there's been a shift in the narrative there. They're easing back on the platforms. So you were getting bombarded by a lot of things in Sweden, Switzerland, even I think Germany. And there's been a bit of a swift turnaround. I feel like there's changes that are being made now. Like I said, a lot of these things were becoming exposed and uncovered. So they're pulling in the reins and they're trying to regain that control. And they're trying to look at the ways that they can regain control. So they're going to start to look at these other avenues. Like I said, there's a lot of talk about fuel rising. These are other avenues that they're looking at. They're trying to implement now the way that people can start to work in a more productive way. I feel like for some of these countries, they're going to start introducing like more skilled labor. So they're going to try and retrain people into specific areas now in industry. That's something that I'm definitely getting, like around TAFE colleges, how they can manipulate, again, people into certain fields of work, because this is how they're going to start to structure up society. They're going to start to train people so that they can get them directed into the areas where they're wanting the physical labor. But over here, meanwhile, we've got machinery taking everything over, which I talked about once before in the car industries and all this. There's a lot of this mechanical robot machinery, and that's happening in a lot of areas. So they're wanting to direct now the workforce into the areas that they want them to go. So places like Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, there is a lot of control going forward in the workplace. And I'm getting Australia. Don't think you've got it easy down under here, because this is just, like I said, this is the lull. This is the time where we catch our breath, we reassess, and then we'll start to move forward again. I feel like probably mid to late March, there's going to be some shifts in Australia. I'm hoping it's not around viruses and the pandemic, but I've got this feeling that the scare tactics will start to rise up again in around March. It's like they are giving people a little breather. They can feel that people have been getting like too overwhelmed by all the information, and they're getting saturated, so they're not like absorbing things. It's like when you've got a sponge and you're not absorbing things anymore because you're too full of water. For example, say a sponge you use in your kitchen sink, when you wring it out, the water comes out and then you can reabsorb the water again. And that's what they're showing me about Australia at the moment. They realise that we are too overwhelmed and saturated with information, that they're going to give us a little break so that we can sort of be squeezed out, and then they're going to reintroduce a lot of things. I'm definitely getting that in Australia. And this is again going to trigger off the protest marches again. New Zealand's going to follow suit there as well. And that's what I'm definitely getting sort of mid to late March, is this, it'll all kick off again, you know. The distractions are here to give us a breather, and that's what's currently happening. That's definitely what's happening in Australia, and I feel like I said, the marches will kick off. But this is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is an unstoppable force now of the truths that people are wanting to know. Like I said, it's getting back to the question mark. People have a lot of questions of what has actually gone on in this pandemic. And obviously one of the biggest that I would think would be, and this is globally, why was ivermectin and vitamin D and C not used when we all knew that it would work? Why would you not be saving people when you knew that you could save them from getting very, very sick? It's all been a bit of a rort, and I think people are kind of really aware of the sort of wool that's been pulled over people's eyes. But don't worry, it's shifting. There's a lot going on now. And it's almost like the storm is subsiding. So the storm is like easing off, and you know, you do get that aftermath where there's the trees are falling down, the leaves are scattered all over the ground, you get trampolines upturned, and that is the current energy. There's still this chaotic energy, but there's also a stillness, and you've got to kind of take that stillness and get your breath, because this is about regrouping, regrounding yourself. getting your thoughts clear, getting your sort of your plans clear moving forward, because you do have to really think about these things. We're pretty much certain that the reset is going to come. It's certainly going to be a battle to fight against that, but it's how we're going to protect ourselves in this economy moving forward. So look, that's just a little bit of food for thought today. I hope it helps you get your head around a few of these things. Hit those like buttons, that always helps me. Please make comments. I love hearing from you guys and where you're at and what's happening in your countries. It's interesting to get that really great feedback and let me know what's going on as well, because you know, I like to know that some of my readings might be helping you out there as well, because I need the help too. It's certainly been super challenging. Subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I've got tons of videos that can help you around self-help, depression, suicidal, any of these kind of topics. And keep strong, keep fighting, keep moving forward, and of course learn to live in that now moment, because it's that now moment that's going to save you every time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.